Good Friday morning. It's 5:30. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Kicking off the weekend, Miller.
Yes.
What's the weather going to do?
Well, we got snow in the forecast. Are you ready for some more snow?
All right. The weather is going to kick us at least in some way or form.
Just a little bit, but
yeah.
On the other end of that, we've got high pressure that's going to set up on Sunday. The first part of next week is looking fantastic as it stands right now. Live look at the bat signal in the background there over Billings. Really a nice start out there. You're seeing some clouds move in, and those will continue to increase as we go along this morning, and then maybe some breaks for some sunshine a little bit later on today. This view, of course, courtesy of my friends at Stockman Bank. The weather cam, 27 at the airport. Feels like 15. Winds out of the southwest at about 16. Around the Horn, we've got 28 in Hardin, 14 in Grey Bull. Up in Glasgow, we're at 28. Over in Williston at 27. Glendive and my friends around Webo around 29. Miles City at 33. And then on the western side, White Sulphur Springs, where we're seeing a little bit of snow right now, sitting at about 24. So we saw some gusty winds yesterday here in Billings. I think we got to a gust of about 43, 44 at the airport very quickly, though. It wasn't a common thing yesterday, but of course, we still have to deal with some of those winds today. We may see some gusts between 30 and 35 here for the Magic City, but along the Beartooth foothills, along the I-90 corridor, up and down I-91, the usual suspects, we could still see some gusts up to about 50. Highs today mainly in the 40s. How are we going to get there? Well, cloudy to start, breaks for some sunshine in the afternoon. What you don't see there, Victoria, starting around 2 o'clock today, that little blast of energy coming in from the west, we actually could see maybe a little bit of rain-snow mix here in Billings. And then starting tonight and, of course, tomorrow, a better chance where we could see that snow.
All right, Miller. Well, thanks for the heads up on that, because I know people want to make their weekend plans.
Yeah.
So plan around it. All right, I'll get to news. Thanks. Our top story this Friday, the strength and support of the Billings community coming out in full force as the city observes Billings Strong Weekend. Billings Mayor Bill Cole proclaimed Thursday through this Sunday Billings Strong Weekend. It's in honor of the teens who lost their lives in 2 recent crashes and to show support for the 2 who survived the accidents. Today, everyone is asked to wear black and gold in honor of the Billings West teens. Yesterday, the colors were orange and black for senior high. A counseling session was hosted last night to help students overcome their grief.
It's okay for them to be confused. It's okay for them to feel lonely. It's okay for them to be sad and to reach out, to talk to friends, talk to family, talk to anybody, and just try to work through these feelings and build coping skills and just be there for each other.
Hopefully in this private, intimate setting like this, that we get the chance to kind of talk one-on-one and reassure the kids, and hopefully they reassure each other a little bit that just because of one event, you don't have to change your entire life. But you should learn from it and bring some safety things back in, maybe that you were forgetting, or you were cutting some corners, or just running at lunch at school, not putting your seatbelt on. Just little things that we all need little reminders about every now and then.
Rodriguez says help for students will continue beyond this weekend. Many local businesses came together to make last night's event possible. In national news this morning, tensions are on the rise again between the United States and Iran. President Joe Biden ordered airstrikes in eastern Syria against facilities said to be used by Iran-backed militia groups. The strikes are President Biden's first known use of military force. The United States says it consulted with coalition partners before action was taken. The Pentagon said it was retaliation for a rocket attack in Iraq last week that killed a civilian contractor and wounded an American service member. The White House says President Biden is disappointed with a potentially fatal blow to gradually raising the hourly minimum wage to $15. The nonpartisan Senate parliamentarian said including the provisions in the president's nearly $2 trillion COVID relief package violates budgetary rules. In a statement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the Democrat-led House will pass the Biden plan today with the wage hike intact. The Bidens plan to visit Houston Washington today to check on recovery from winter storms. This is President Biden's first official visit following a natural disaster. More than 7 million Texans are still facing water disruptions, and about 11,000 still don't have power. The president is also scheduled to visit a vaccine distribution center after the weather delayed delivery of about 6 million doses. Health officials say they're trying to learn more about a new COVID-19 variant spreading in New York City and just how prevalent it is. Researchers at Columbia Medical Center say in the last 2 weeks, they've seen a 13% rise in the number of cases. Well, the location is set for round 2, and the Yellowstone County residents who got their first COVID-19 vaccine at this month's mass vaccination clinic. Appointments for the required second dose should have already been scheduled. They'll be administered at the Shrine Auditorium on Broadwater Avenue beginning Tuesday, March 9th. This is only for the Yellowstone County residents who received their first dose at Metro Park's Cedar Hall the week of February 15th. If you received your first dose at another vaccination clinic, either at St. Vincent Healthcare, Riverstone Health, or Billings Clinic, you will get your second dose at that same location. As we navigate through the pandemic, more people are getting comfortable with the idea of traveling. Q2's Janelle Slade shares this latest travel restrictions and what we should know before catching a flight.
If you're going to fly, if you're going to be part of transportation, you're going to have to wear a mask. Even though the mandate has been dropped by the governor for the state of Montana, in this building, you still need to do it.
Billings City Director of Aviation and Transit, Kevin Plone, says so far he hasn't had any major issues at Billings Logan.
I'm sure it'll happen at some point in time.
But he says now it's easier to enforce. A recent presidential order brings the CDC, the TSA, and every major airline under the same requirements and rules.
It gets everybody on the same page. All transportation hubs, that includes transit, rail, anything that has to do with travel in America is now under this order, including the airport terminal.
And for those who feel they'd like to fight the mask order, there are now some federal teeth behind it.
The bite for airports that you wouldn't see in the other transportation issue is that the TSA can give you a civil penalty. And that can be from $250 up to $1,500.
Brian Beam says United Airlines wants its customers confident and comfortable. So a company marriage with Clorox and the Cleveland Clinic turned into a major cleaning process after every touchdown.
So your tray tables, your overhead bins, the labs, the galleys are all being wiped down. So any area where you typically have surface.
Beam says that's not the only extra cost the airlines are absorbing. While flying and when planes land, they are also maximizing airflow.
The auxiliary power unit is a air exchange for depending on the size of the aircraft, every 2 to 5 minutes, it's exchanging 100% of the air in the aircraft, going through a HEPA filter, which is a medical grade HEPA filter, just like you'd find down here at your OR at the Billings Clinic or at St. Vincent's. So you're getting a much better exchange of the air going through the aircraft.
And a couple studies back that up. Both a Harvard study and a Department of Defense study finding high-performing ventilation systems and mandatory mask use reduces the risk of viral transmission aboard an airplane.
We'll see that. Our employees are just walking through down one side of the aircraft. It's electrostatic mist. It's going into the air, sticking to the surfaces, all the way to the back, and then moving back up to the other side.
Other studies, of course, show the opposite. The coronavirus can and does spread on airline flights, especially if you remove your mask or use the restroom.
What we want to do is we want to give our customers the confidence that yes, it is safe to fly. Is there risks? Yes, there's always risks. There always has been, but we're doing everything we can to give you a safe, reliable product.
But to make that happen, it goes back to all travelers stepping up and taking part. And although a mask mandate is not the rule in most of Montana, it is when you fly.
I think what this has done is it's just kind of given it some uniformity across the board here so that we can say, okay, yeah, once you come into the airport, just put on your mask and it's a done deal.
In Billings, Janelle Slade, MTN News.
Besides the TSA mandate, if someone refuses to wear a mask, both United and Delta Airlines add those travelers to a no-fly list. And to be clear, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends not traveling right now during the pandemic. Meanwhile, in Wyoming, the month of March will bring new relaxed COVID-19 restrictions as numbers continue to improve. Starting Monday, all limits on barbershops, salons, and tattoo parlors are lifted. Restaurants can fully open with groups of no more than 10 people at a table, and the tables must be 6 feet apart. Rules will also be relaxed for movie theaters, concert halls, and gyms. The new rules also allow indoor gatherings at 25% capacity with face masks and a limit of 1,000 people. Outdoor gatherings can have up to 2,000 people. A bill that would have made it more difficult to request and receive absentee ballots in Montana has been killed. The House State Administration Committee voted unanimously to table it. Republican State Representative Geraldine Custer of Forsyth called it probably the worst bill she's seen all legislative session. Under Montana's current voter registration system, people can get on a county list to get an absentee ballot mailed to them for every election. The bill from Representative Lola Sheldon Galloway of Great Falls would have required people to apply in person for an absentee ballot every election. Another measure killed this week, a bill to keep landlords from charging fees just to view a prospective rental. Democratic State Senator J.P. Pomanowski introduced the measure after hearing multiple complaints from constituents in Bozeman about the fees. She said some property management firms and landlords were charging people fees to apply for a rental or just to look at the interior. Her bill would have required landlords to refund most or all of the application fee to people who didn't end up as the renter. But Republican Senator Keith Regier of Kalispell said the fee appears to be a product of supply and demand in rental markets and doesn't need to be regulated.
We did hear that there were landlords that didn't charge a fee, so they could always go to them. I'm afraid that we're setting a precedent here, and the next thing we'll get a bill that is controlling what they charge for the rent then.
Most instances of the practice are in Bozeman, Missoula, and Helena. Next year, voters could be asked to decide if babies born alive during abortion should be a legally protected person. 3 other abortion bills also passed a second reading yesterday, with 31 Republicans for and 19 Democrats against. The bills would ban abortions in Montana after 20 weeks of pregnancy, make it more difficult to obtain an abortion-inducing drug in the state, and require physicians to give patients a chance to see an ultrasound of the fetus and hear its heartbeat before getting an abortion. Opponents say the bills violate Montana's strict right to privacy and medical decisions.
I spent a lot of time in my earlier years working with victims of rape and sexual assault. I cannot imagine a crueler comment forced by a physician to say to a woman who has already made the decision to terminate a pregnancy, to say, "Wouldn't you like to hear the heartbeat of this fetus that was conceived because of a rape?"
Supporters say the measures are simply about protecting the life of the unborn. The 3 bills are now 1 vote away from going to the governor to be signed into law. Of 3 vaccination requirement bills introduced yesterday, only one lives on. House Bill 334 would expand which healthcare providers can sign off on medical exemption to school immunization requirements. It would also prevent the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services from putting any additional requirements on the exemptions. The House endorsed it in a 65-35 vote. Another bill, which would have allowed students to use homeopathic remedies to meet immunization requirements, failed, and a bill that would have prohibited local governments, employers, and businesses from denying someone services or opportunities because of their vaccination status died in a tie. Several other bills on vaccination requirements are currently under consideration in the Senate. Well, Montana is welcoming a new airline to its skies. Starting May 27th, Southwest Airlines will begin flying out of Bozeman. The airline will offer daily nonstop flights to Denver and Las Vegas. The service can also connect travelers to 50 other Southwest cities through same plane or connecting service. Southwest Airlines is known for its low fare options. And the solo red panda at Zoo Montana is going to get some new friends. Dooley will be joined by Pabu and his mom, May May. They will depart the Oregon Zoo early next month. Pabu has to be relocated because of the territorial behavior seen in red pandas. As he gets older, it becomes dangerous for him to stay in the same habitat as his father. But he's not old enough to be without his mom, so she will be with him. They will undergo a 30-day quarantine before living in the red panda habitat at Zoo Montana. Pabu is described as the Prince of Pounce for his rambunctious ambushes.